Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being with us. This is the 38th Tokyo International Film Festival TIFF Lounge. Today, we have great directors to talk to us. We have two of them to conduct a talk session. I am the moderator, Ishizaka of Tokyo International Film Festival. Thank you very much. Now please welcome the great directors, Akio Fujimoto and Pen-ek Ratanaruang. Please come to the stage. Please take seats. So we have simultaneous interpretation provided by two interpreters, Samura-san and Ikezawa-san. I'm sorry. Yeah, he requested, Pen-ek requested for his beer, but where did it go anyways? Pen-ek, I believe you're relaxed with your beer. So yes, let's make it really casual and relaxed here for this session. Could you give us some opening words to start this session? Who would like to go first? So, yeah, maybe you want to spend time in your beer, Pen-ek, so let's start with Akio. Nice to meet you, everyone, at Tokyo International Film Festival, Japan. Nippon Cinema Now has selected my work, Lost Land. My name is Fujimoto. Southeast Asia, especially Myanmar, is my base. So I really appreciate this opportunity to be here today. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pen-ek. I'm from Thailand. And Tokyo Film Festival has been a big supporter of my work for a long time. And I'm always happy to be here. I think the last time we were here was with a film called Headshot many years ago. So I'm really happy to be back. And thanks for coming.
So both of you in Japan and also at this Tokyo International Film Festival, I think you have very deep relationship and connections. So let me introduce them. Lost Land is Fujimoto-san's work that is being screened. And your first work, Passage of Life, Asian Future category, received the award. And also this time the special award at that time. So it was rewarded with double awards. That was my first work, and it was a world premiere here. It hasn't been even 10 years since then, but now you have won another great awards. So you are one of the great authors representing Japan now. Pen-ek, since your debut, Asia Focus in Fukuoka, that festival in the 90s, you have been there. And after that, you have been working with Japanese actors. And your latest work also has a lot of Japanese elements in it. And in the 90s, back at that time, Tadao Sato, he was really an early supporter of you. He discovered you at your debut, as soon as you made debut.
Yeah, he supported me from the very first film that I've made. And of course he took the film to Fukuoka, and not only that, but I think he gave me a lot of time and talked to me. And I think that time film festival was a bit different. It was not so busy. And I think Fukuoka festival it has no market or anything. So it's purely just kind of like filmmakers to go and show the films. And I think he made it a point that to actually support like first-time filmmaker, second-time filmmaker, younger filmmakers. Yeah, and his knowledge about. I was a bit embarrassed because his knowledge about Thai cinema is much better than mine. So because he knew like so many generations of Thai filmmakers and he supported them. Yeah. So yeah, and when I heard of his passing like 3 years ago, yeah, I was quite sad. Yeah.
はい、今回佐藤忠夫さんにまつわるドキュメンタリー映画のね、佐藤忠夫映画の旅という
documentary film of his journey is being screened at this event.
そういうお二人ともいろいろ日本なり
both of you
この映画祭とのゆかりがある
have a lot of connections with this film festival, of course, with Japan as well. So now today we would like to talk about, well, today we have 60 minutes, including the photo session today. So yes, using the time, maybe can I start with asking you to each, because you have watched your works, can I ask questions about like how you felt about each other's work, and we can do a cross-talk session. So let me start with Fujimoto-san. Actually, you watched Pen-ek's work. You had a quick chat before this right there. So you have questions, right, don't you? You said you have some questions that you want to ask him. Can we start there?
Why do you make these films?
Yeah, similar question, yes. I watched yours last night. And also I watched online. Was it 2003, The Last Life in Universe? So I have watched two of your works. Both of them, I found something in common with them. The protagonist or the lead character is kind of a bit strange and weird. I wouldn't meet those people like in my daily life. That's the character of your leads, personalities, and it might. But they are weird, but they're very weird in a very attractive way. I can't get my eyes off of them. They're very convincing when they are in the scene of a film, and that's what I felt across the scene. I was very attracted. They're very compelling, the characters of yours. So simultaneous interpretation, so I don't need to wait. So myself, I always start with the story or the narrative. Writing the story, but maybe I thought your directing style, maybe does it start with the characters or the personality, and that's the starting points to develop the story, maybe? That's how I imagine. But what is your approach? How do you get to those characters, those unique personalities? Can you tell me the process, please? Well, let me add a comment. The Last Life in Universe, the protagonist is Tadanobu Asano. When he was very young, he was a librarian. He's working at a Japanese art center library or something, right? And he has this desire to commit suicide. So the first opening scene starts with his delusion of like committing suicide. It's so shocking. Again, this character is very unique and weird. You won't find that person in Italy. And this time, Asano-san, he was playing an artist, like a very flamboyant, like, you know. So again, it's the type of person. Also, do you start with the story, your filmmaking, or do you start with the character or the personality? What's your approach?
I usually start with the character. And you might think the characters are weird and strange, but actually they're based on people that I know. They're based on the people that I like, some friends or my uncle or my, you know.
Sorry, I didn't know. I thought they didn't exist.
But no, these people that comes to my imagination, usually they are very normal people. You know, sometimes quite really boring. I mean, shouldn't say boring. It's very plain. Sometimes it starts with that, but then when I'm attracted to them, then I start to fantasize what they're really like when you don't see them. It's like, I don't know, it's like when you see Kim Kardashian, or whatever her name is, Kim Kardashian, or Paris Hilton, or Jennifer Lopez, and when you see these people, you don't imagine anything about them because they're so exposed, But when you see a school teacher, you start to think what she's like naked. What the school teacher is like when she's not wearing anything, what her boobs will be like. What does she have when she has sex? What position she prefers? Like, when you see someone so plain, you start to imagine that they have a secret. They have something. So Asano's character in Last Life in the Universe actually started from a friend of mine who was he was the director of the Japan Foundation at the time in Bangkok. Yoshioka-san? Anyway, he was a very good friend. And Yoshioka is very polite, super polite. He dressed really well. And he never wears anything with colors, always white, gray, gray, white, black, gray, black, gray, black. And he looks very neat all the time, and he's very polite and everything. So I started to imagine that what he's really like at home, and that one thing leads to another. Then you start questioning these characters, and then they start building themselves. And then before you know it, they're doing really strange things. And they start to it's almost like confess to you all these secrets. And that's how I write. And then after you have built a few of these characters in a film, then you put them in a situation, I don't know, like what it's like, right? So you put these characters in a situation, and you see how they react to the situation, and then they just start to make up a story for you. So that's basically more or less the how it works for me. Not every film, but in general, that's how. When I think, okay, it's time to make a film, that's how it starts. Yeah.
You said confession. So actually, I got that feeling in your film. In the beginning, I had a distance with the characters in the film, but gradually I started feeling that they were becoming closer to me. It was kind of like this concept of being ordinary starts to expand inside me through this character, and I was really attracted to your characters and so director. So your questions to these people, that is your film, and that is what you deliver to your audience, and that is something very interesting for me. And so when you just talked about those characters, I think you're able to do that. But the actor has to reflect that, embody that, and the actor has to deliver that to the audience. So that's a big journey, and so your dramatization, your direction, I just felt like you have so much power to do all of that. I was just very amazed, and that was a good learning experience for me.
Well, thank you. But I can't I know what you're saying, but I can't really take credit for all of that, because if you also have to be lucky, you know, with your casting and everything. But I think if so, your script, your screenplay is like, it's like my screenplays don't give so much direction. It just explains, you know, what goes on, you know, scene 1, scene 2. Basically for my screenplays are basically for the investors. So when they read, they can say, I want to put money, or I don't want to put money. So, but it's not for the film. It's for the investors, and it's for my crew to go. No, they have to look. Okay, look, I have to find a location. I have to find a hospital. I have to find a restaurant. So, it's like something very useful, but not very creative. Yeah, and you know what I mean, right? So my screenplay is just, actually, they're not really convincing. They just like, it's like a shopping list. You want to cook this dish? My screenplay just says that you need a cucumber, you need tomato, you need chicken. So they are like shopping lists, just so that we can work. But the creativity, or the what you were saying, that, you know, how you convince the audience, how can you take them on the journey with the film, that comes, of course, the performers, the actors, they also contribute a lot, and it's kind of like we look for the film together while we're making. So every day, yeah, and of course they don't always work, you know. Sometimes when they don't work, you just have to do the best you can, and then up to a point when it doesn't work, you just have to, that's it. For this film, I didn't do so well, you know. But the process is always the same. Yeah, you kind of. So that's why I can't take credit for all of what you said, the good things about the film, because the contribution comes from a lot. Even sometimes God has a contribution, you know, like the weather changes and we don't get what we wanted on the location on that day, but actually it looks better. It you know, you thought it would have a sunshine, but that day, you know, it kept like raining, but then you had no choice, so maybe you decide on the spot that maybe you change a little bit of this and you can shoot in the rain, and then you shoot it, and then it became the most effective thing in the film, you know. So a lot of it is luck also. So yeah, but the process, you go through the whole process the same time, the same thing every time.
Casting,
when you cast the performers, like I'm sure there's some kind of gap. Maybe you expect something for them to make happen, you know, through their characters. And or maybe after you cast them, maybe you start to add some more elements to the character. So, and maybe your character, the imagery might change after you cast these people. I'm just like very curious about what happens in casting.
Well, I think the most fearful thing, the most frightening thing about filmmaking is that when you show the film, people lose interest. After 20 minutes into the film, they fall asleep, or, you know, you have to fight against that. You have to fight against audience losing interest. So, and for me, how do we do that, right? How do we fight against like sleepiness of the audience, the boredom? I think you fight by, they look at the screen. So what's on the screen has to be really interesting. And I think most of the time the actors are on the screen. So then you work it out, then you try to cast someone that you think the audience can watch for 2 hours without losing interest. So you go for those, and it doesn't matter what. Somebody speaks very strangely, but it's so attractive, then you go for it. Someone who doesn't speak at all, who can't act at all, but just the presence is so great that you have to keep watching or to follow his or her action. Then you cast those people, and then sometimes they may not fit exactly what you wrote in the script, so we could change the script to fit them. So like I said, the script is kind of like it's just for, not for the creativity. I think it's just for the basic that we can work, and then the creativity comes from whatever God gives you. You happen to run into this person who's so interesting, and then he or she has never acted before, but you start talking to them for a few hours, and you go like, wow, I can't take my eyes off him, or I can't take my eyes off her. Then. So I think creativity comes from that. You work a lot with non-actors.
すごくわかります。
Like, I think I have the same.
じゃあ今度
Then it's your turn. Maybe you want to ask questions about Lost Land. So now your turn to ask questions.
I have the same. No, yours is, in your case is even worse than, it's even harder than me, because your films are really based on reality. They're very realistic, right? And it's so hard when if the audience don't believe the people on the screen, if they don't believe the word, the way they say things, the way they move, the way they, the three Vietnamese girl who has to scrape the thing off at the dock, the snow. If they don't believe this action or the words, or the film is destroyed, right? So in your case, I think you, and of course they are all non-actors, I believe, right? They're not actors. How do you find them? How do you find these people?
いやいや、もう同じでよく言うのが、もう神の味噌汁。
It is like, it's a miso soup made by the God. I just have to pray and wait until God play his tricks.
こっちが別に探そうと思って
I
見
don't
つかる
go
わけでは
out
ない。
and find them because that's not the way I can find them. But I'm always prepared to search.
出会うか出会わないか
But the
は
encounter
僕もチームも誰も知らないので、
is not what I
出会う
know.
まで
It's
待
not
つ
what my team knows. So we just have to wait until it comes. That's my style.
How did you find? I'm going back to your not your latest film, but the one before that, Along the Sea.
前の海辺の彼女たち。
海辺の彼女たち。
海辺の彼女たちは初めてオーディションをしましたね。
It was the first time I did an audition. They are
人た
actors.
ちが出ていたので。
There were some actors.
Really?
いやベトナムのベトナムに行っ
The Vietnamese.
て
I went
100
to
人ぐらいオーディション
Vietnam
して。
and I auditioned 100 of
枠の
them.
中でも本当にた
And
またま
even
の
the
出会いってあると思うんです。
100,
3人が
again,
た
it's
またま同じ
encounter.
身長が同
So
じ
they were at the same height, physical height. They were tall, but different characters and personalities. 3 of them, and they were attractive personalities, and 3 in a set. That's such a coincidence. It just happened. For other work of mine,
Are they like? What are they? What do they act in? Like television soap opera or stage play or what? Because they're so convincing. They're so plain. They're so so convincing. Are they like stage play or?
テレビのキャスターでした。
TV
アナウン
casters,
サー。
announcers,
ベトナムテレビの
Vietnamese TV's like
なんていうんで
announcers,
すかキャスターっていうんですかね。
reporter.
曲アナウンサー。
俳優ではなくて。
So they were not
でも
actors,
俳
not
優でみ
really.
んな俳優志望でした。
They were
一人は
to
なんか
be actors.
トランユーさんのワークショップを
was being taking the course of Chanran-yun, but they all come from different backgrounds. So it was the first time because they were always just practicing in front of the mirror, so they didn't have real experience. So 3 of them all came from different backgrounds, but they had this strong desire and passion to play in a movie.
And the script, you have a script for them to read?
で脚本はもう全く同じ考えで、あくま
Exactly
で
same
もその
approach as
買い
you.
物リストし、
It's just a shopping
これす
list.
ごい今日いい言葉を聞いたなと
Yeah,
思って
shopping list is the key word. I'm going to use that. Let me copy it. I'm going to use it in
本当
other
に
places.
設計図ですしか
No,
ない。
you
So
have
it's
to
just a
pay me.
blueprint.
It's copyright.
ちょっとわかりました。そうですね。脚本
But for
は
the screenplay,
あの時は
Let
基本的に
me
渡してないし、
I didn't
なんか
give any
僕も
screenplay
現場に持ってい
script.
かないっていうことをしたん
And
ですよ。
I didn't bring
だから
script
僕
on
があんまり
set
脚本を
or
覚えすぎ
on
る
like,
と
because if I remember every word,
良くないなと思って
I don't think
だ
it's
か
going to work. I didn't think it
らお
was going
互い
to
が
work.
曖昧なん
So
ですよ。
both
なんとなくストーリーの情報は知って
we
るし、
do share the high level, of
やる
course,
こ
with
と
the
は分かってるん
storyline,
だ
and
け
we know
ど、
what
そ
we
の
have
細
to
部まで
do.
は
But to the
ちょっとうろ覚え
details,
というか、
you
そ
know,
の
we
状
kept
態
it
で
vague, ambiguous,
撮影してい
intentionally,
く
and
と、
that's how we got into
なんか
shooting.
また脚本には
Because
ない新しいも
that
のが
will bring out
発
something
見しやすくなる
that is
し、
not on the
手を出
script.
しやすくなる。
You can make discovery, and it's
結構
easier
日本
to
って
tap into that because in Japan,
So they improvise the dialogue. They improvise.
そうですね。そうですね。
Yes.
セリフが即興ですね。
yes,
かなり
impro. The
どう
lines
し
were
ても絶
impro.
対に言ってほしいとこだけは
There were some
練習しますけど、
specific
基本
phrases
的に
that
は
I
その
wanted them to
彼女
practice,
たちから
yes,
出た言葉
but basically there
っ
were
ていうの
natural
を
things that came out of
重
their
点的に
mouths,
とっていま
and
す。
that's what I focused on.
そうい
So
う
so I think your background is documentary. Is that correct? All your films look
あ
like.
いやドキュメンタリー
Is
は
that-
Not
is that your
not
background?
documentary, no,
してないですね。
no documentary.
たまにまあ一回テレビで
I did
ちょっと
once for
バラエテ
TV
ィ番組とか
For like a
作ってま
comedy
した
show, yeah,
ミャンマー国内で。
like within Myanmar,
基本的には
I
その
made,
フィ
but
クションドラマ
basically fiction
という
films
こ
has
とでや
been my
ってました
area, my background.
まあ最初の一本目
The
が
first
その
work of
俳
mine,
優ではない人たちだったので、
yes, did feature
自然とそのスタイルにな
non-actors,
っていった
so
っていう
that became my
形
style,
です
and that's how I established how I
なの
do
で
things,
そこ
yes.
まで演出はせ
So
ず
I
にもう
don't
本
like
当にそれ
really
こそ
give a lot of
モニター
treatment
の
or
前でずっと
direction. I just sit in front of the monitor
祈るみたい
and just pray
感じです。
and wait for things to come.
And do you speak Rohingya? Do you speak the language of Rohingya? I'm talking about your last film now.
簡単な言葉だけ覚えました。
Just really easy
行ってとか立って
phrases.
とか
Stand,
その撮影
go.
でこう指示する
Just the
時の
keywords that I
言
need
葉を
for
ちょっとだけ
shooting,
覚えて
just a little bit I learned.
撮影してましたけど、
And
基本
that's
的
how I
には
went
僕
to
は日本
shooting.
語
But
しか喋れ
basically,
な
I
い
speak only Japanese.
通訳さんが
I do need an
間に入
interpreter,
ってくれてます。
always.
どの作品も
For every work, yes, I always had an interpreter.
And in your film, there's always in your films, the two films that I saw, there's always in one point in the film where the character sings. They always sing a song. When they, especially when they miss home, when they miss their home country, they always sing. Like in Lost Land, the guy was singing on the boat, right? And then when the boat ride, and in the along the sea, the Vietnamese girl was singing when they were talking, and the other girl was sleeping in the room. So yeah, so is that like kind of it's subconscious?
そう言われてみればそうですね。歌ってます
Yeah,
ね。
thank you for telling me. Yeah, they are
初めて言われました。
singing. That's you're the first person who mentioned
今
that.
振り返れば
In
なんでなんですかね。
reflection, yes.
And they sing
Why
when
did
they
I?
miss home. When they think of home, they sing. It's just like it's not. It's a coincidence, or
いやなんかこうミャンマーとかベトナム見る
Myanmar,
と
Vietnam, when
なん
I'm
か結構歌
there,
う人多いな
I think a lot of people do sing,
印
actually.
象があったんです
That's
よ。まあ
my
向こうで住んでる
impression
時とか。
when I was living there.
なんか結構その日本では絶対ないんですけ
You
ど、
don't see that in Japan.
結構なんか歌に乗せてその
But
思いを伝え
using
るとか
songs
思いを乗
to
せて
convey their feelings
や
or
るっていうのは
emotions or
日常的
message, I
に結
think that's
構やっ
what
て
they
る
do
人
in
が
their daily
身
lives.
近に多
I
かっ
think
た
I
の
have
で多分
seen
それ
that a
の
lot.
影
That
響が入ってるか
influenced
もし
me,
れな
I
いです。
think, maybe in my work.
なんか自分のこう発想っていうよりは何か
It's not my
本当に
like,
生活
own
空間の中
idea.
で
It's something that I learned
物
in
の
their
影響が結構
lifestyles. And that's where I got
出てると思います。
get a lot of influence from.
And can I ask also about the crew, your crew? In Lost Land, I saw in the end credits a lot of names that I don't know where they're from. Where were your crew from? Myanmar?
基本的にマレーシ
Malaysia.
アのクルーですね。
Basically
皆さん
Malaysia.
マレーシアのスタッフと
Staff from
まあ一部その日
Malaysia
本人
and
が
some
行って
Japanese
撮ってます。
members
で出演者
that
が
came
そ
from
の
Japan,
ロ
but
ヒンギャの
the
まあ結構ムスリム
Rohingya
の名前な
people,
ので
Muslim names, you heard, those are the people that
ロヒンギャの方々
appeared
が
on the
多かっ
screen.
たですね。基
That's basically it.
And where did you find these Rohingya people? In Malaysia? Or?
もうそうですね。これすいません。どこで見つけたかがこれダメでした。
Really tell you where
どこに住んでるか分かっちゃうとちょっと。
because we can't
でも
let
その
the
彼らが
people
住ん
know
で
where they
るところ
live.
に
But I did visit them
もう本当に紹
and
介
where they
紹介です
live.
ね。
And it was like an introduction after
こういう人
introduction
いない
after
かっていうのをロ
introduction.
ヒンギャの方が結構手伝ってくれました。
So the people Rohingya really helped me out.
でロヒンギャの方が連
And
絡し
the
てくれて
people Rohingya
こう
contacted these
顔を
people.
出して
And they
OK な方
asked,
だけが
they
出演
got
してる
the
っていう形
people
で
that
す。
were
で
only
主人
able
公の子
to
供たちに関して
appear,
も
with the
それこそ
faces in the movie.
たまたまですね。もう
And
本当は今回9歳と4
and
歳の
then
主
this
人公なん
was
ですけれ
the
ども
protagonist was
想
a
定では
9-year-old
14
and
歳
4-year-old.
の男の子の兄弟だったんです。
Originally, it
脚
was
本上は。
on the screenplay,
で
it was
14
a
歳
boy
の
of
中
14,
学
two
生ぐらいの男の
brothers.
子を探しに
So
そのロ
I
ヒンギャが集
actually
まる
looked
学校
for
が
a
あって
junior high
そこで
boy
こう
and
取材
went
をし
to
つ
a
つ
Rohingya
い
junior
い子がい
high.
たら映画に出てほ
And
し
I
いなと思
thought,
いな
is
がら
there
行ったんですけど
a
も
boy who would
でもこう
appear
取
in
材
my
してるうちになん
film?
かその
But
辺で
as
そ
I
の
was,
弟君
going through
の
this process, I
当
saw
時4
this
歳なんですけどずっと
little
遊んでたんです
boy, 4 years old at the time. He was
でもすごくい
playing,
い
and
な
I
と
saw
思
him
ってなん
playing,
か
and
もう
I
理
thought
屈じゃなくてこの子が
it
すごく
wasn't logic. I just felt like this
それこ
boy
そ
is
本当に
so
もう映画を引っ
nice,
張ってくるような
and
ずっとなん
he
か
might
釘付けにな
lead
っちゃ
the
うっていう
movie.
か
Like I
それが
just
僕だけ
was
じゃなくてチーム
like
みんな
I
がそうだ
was
ったの
really
で
drawn to this boy,
いや
even
この子
my
いいなと
team
思っ
members,
て
and
た
we
また
all
ま
thought
学
this
校の
boy
横
is
がそ
good.
の子の家だったんです
And
よ。
actually, he lived right
で
next door to the
ちょ
school,
っと
the junior high
あまり
school.
良くないんですけ
And
ど
this
そ
is
の
not
家
good,
ついて行っていいですか
but
って
I
言っ
said,
て
"Can I
そ
follow
の
you home?"
お邪魔し
And I
て
went to his
で
home,
そしたらそのお姉ちゃん
and
も
then he
こう
had
現
an
れ
older
て
sister,
あの
and
映画に
she
出
was
て
at home. That
あれ本
She
当の
appeared in the movie. So
こう兄
actually,
弟なんですけ
they're
ど
real brother and
Yeah, I know.
sister.
お姉ちゃんもすごいね
And
って
so
なっ
we thought,
て
wow, the
じゃあも
sister
う
is
脚本
good
書いて
too.
もう2
So then
人が旅する
let's
映画にしよ
rewrite
う
the
と思って
screenplay. So that's a
そ
journey
こから
between sister and
変え
brother.
ましたね。
So we changed that part.
偶然の
So it was just a
出会いと言います
coincidence
か。
that we were able to locate them.
So when your films, when Lost Land go to different festivals, your two actors could not go. Can they show themselves? Can they go? Can they travel? They could. Were they in
あ出れ
Venice?
ないです出れないです。
No, they can't.
例えばこの映画
Like,
祭
for example,
に舞台挨拶で来て
So
っていうのは
they,
できないんで
they
す。
can't come to a film festival like this to say hello to people. Oh, sorry. They
国
can't
籍
come
が
to
な
a
くて
festival like
パス
this
ポー
to
トが
co-
取れないんです。国籍
to
がない
do
と
a
もう
stage
市民権
performance.
がな
They
いの
don't.
で
They're stateless. They don't have
基本的
passports.
にその
So basically,
国外には出れない。
they can't go out of wherever they're living right now.
まあ非常に残念なとこ
So
ろですね
that's very
今回せっかくの
unfortunate
晴れ舞台なので
because this is such a great place for them
は
to
い、
be at.
時間がですね、経つの早いもんで、
Okay, I'm sorry. The time seems to
そ
just
したらちょっ
fly
と2
by.
人に
And
共通すると言いますかね。
I just want to like touch upon
私の考える
some
と
common
ペンさん
topics
は日
among
本の
both of you.
文化のこと
Pen-ek,
が
you're
いろいろ映画に出
very,
てきます。
you know,
それから
you have a
藤本さ
lot
ん
of
は
Japanese
日本で
culture in your
枠
films, and
の
director
外側というか特に東南アジア
Fujimoto, you are focused on Southeast
土地と
Asia,
か人とか
and
そういうと
you
ころ
know,
に出かけてい
you
く
go
あ
to
るいは
all
日本の
these
中の
Asian
その
places.
アジ
You
アとい
deal
う
with
か東
Asian,
南アジ
you know, people
アという
outside
も
of
のに
Japan,
焦点を当てて
and you focus on those
つまりお二
places
人
and
と
those
も
people.
異文
So
化とかね
no, I think both of you are
他
familiar
者っても
with
のを
different
映画の
cultures,
中で
different kinds of
撮って
people
いく
in your
っていうことが
films. And I
作風
feel
は
like
全く違いま
that's
すけ
your
ど共通して
commonality.
る
Of
かな
course,
と思うんですね
your films are
その異
completely
文化を
different
その
from
自
each
分の映画に
other,
取り入れてるっていう
but
そのやり
having
方みたい
those
なこと
different
何
kinds of
か
cultures
コ
in
メント
your
いただければ
films,
面
like
白
can
い
you
かなと
do you
思
have
うん
a
ですけど
word about it? It would be
どちらからで
interesting
も
for you to talk about that. Whoever likes to talk first.
Well, I think in my case, it's that I think what both of us, I think our films. That's one way of saying it, that we're focusing on other cultures more than our own. But I think the world today is like that, you know. I don't think the borders really matters anymore. The language don't matter anymore. I think we all communicate by. I think the most common language in the world now is broken English. I think broken English is the best language. You know, we all speak broken English to understand each other, you know, because that happens to be the language that that could get us to understand each other. But I think because once you go past the language, I think you realize that the humanity is what shapes the world. And back in the old days, like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe it's harder for a filmmaker to think, to experience that okay, maybe someone living next door to you doesn't actually speak the same language we do, but nowadays it's so common. I don't live in Bangkok anymore, but when I was living in Bangkok, around where I live, when I walk around my neighborhood in one day, I hardly hear any Thai language. It's English or Japanese. I live in the area where a lot of Japanese live. So you hear, I heard more Japanese and English than Thai in one day, and that's Bangkok. So for me, to what you mentioned about the cross cultures, and it's actually not. It's becoming, to me, it's not even unique anymore. It's quite common, and it's the world where we live in, which is actually good. It's actually it's very good. Then your own world expands more, right? And then you're not. I remember when I first came to Japan many years ago. I go and ask for a direction to go to somewhere, to 7-Eleven or something, to someone on the street. She ran away from me. She was so scared to speak English, and all that. But now, no, you can ask, and then they just, even they don't speak perfect English, even they don't speak English at all, they're not scared anymore, because I think the world is becoming almost like, really, like the border is becoming, it's not borderless yet, but the border has become so transparent, almost very thin now, I think. So that's why I think the films, the way it allow us to make our kind of films, I think.
I agree with that. And I'm afraid of people who speak English. I lived in Osaka for a long time. There's no one around me that speaks English in Osaka. And we don't really have opportunities to meet people from abroad. So when I go to Tokyo and involved in the movie, my producer speaks a lot of English. I'm like, wow, he speaks English. And so it's like each and every encounter is expanding my world. And I think the ultimate experience was that I had my wedding ceremony in Myanmar, and just one thing led to another. So I had my wedding in Myanmar, but so then I started losing this fear. Like in the past, I had this like barrier, but now I don't even think about that barrier. And yeah, if there's a difference between the person, it's no big deal. So right now, it's kind of like flat for me.
Is your wife Japanese or Burmese?
Yeah, Myanmar.
She's from Myanmar. We met through soccer.
Soccer. Yeah, soccer volunteer.
She
were volunteering.
She plays soccer.
Volunteer.
It's through volunteering, charitable activities. So let's just put aside my wife for a second here. Anyway, so that was a big opportunity for me. So then, your international marriage. Yeah, and then after that, I meet people from abroad in Japan and vice versa, and meet Japanese people there. And so that was when my switch was really pushed.
Well, we talked about like your characters in your work. Takashi Miike. Yeah, he made appearance in your work. Well, he has a very strong personality. I was always waiting, and even watching screening last night, I was thinking maybe he will make appearance.
No, well, Miike is. I'm so lucky because I was a big admirer of Miike's film, for a long time. And we met each other in film festivals a lot, and back in like the early 2000s. But Miike is Miike, right? You're so scared to talk to him. You think he could knife you or something. Right? If you say something wrong, he could knife you or something. So you're always so scared. But anyway, when I made the film Last Life in the Universe, my producer, I had a Japanese producer, Hiromi Aihara. She said that, this character, why don't we try to talk to Miike to be in your film? So I said, yeah, sure. So we gave him the script to read, and he said, yeah, why not? So he came to meet me, and then we had a good talk. And he said, you know what? And in the film, he has to have two other sidekicks, like someone below him. He said that, I know two guys. One guy is my scriptwriter. The other guy is my actor that I use all the time. So he did the casting for us. And he said he's going to design all the costumes for all three of them because he knows what Yakuza really dress like. If I do it, it would be like really a fake thing. So he did everything, all the costumes, and he said that, Pen-ek, I have to get a punch parma.
So.
Right, you got it right. Punch Parma.
Punch Parma, because that's the Yakuza in Brazil. That's the influence from Brazilian Yakuza. So he went to his hairstylist, and the hairstylist did everything. So basically, he appeared in the film. He did casting for us. He designed the costumes, and when a little bit in that film, we had to film in Osaka for a week. And in Osaka, everywhere in the world, when you shoot on the street, you ask permission from the police, right? Like in Thailand, in America. But in Osaka, you ask the permission to shoot from the Yakuza. Because they have different territories. So Miike did all the permission for us because he knows all the Yakuzas. They really admired him. They love him because he made them look really elegant, in his film. So he did the location for us as well. And during our shoot, he could not be with us because he had to shoot his film. Miike makes like 5 films a year, so he's always shooting. So when we came to shoot in Osaka, he prepared everything for us, and we had, I think, like 4 of the Yakuzas protecting us, And in the evening, when we finished the shoot, they would come and pick me up, and my staff, like a few of the staff.
Wow. Is this okay to talk in public about this? Okay, fine.
Oh, I don't know. Really?
It should be fine. Right.
So, and then they take me out to eat and drink, and so it's beautiful. Yeah. They show me the tattoos, and it's.
藤本さん、そういう人がスタッフにいると頼もしいですね。
Yeah, that's a great staff to have in your crew.
すごいノリノリで演技されてらっしゃった。
And I loved how he was like acting. I could feel the energy.
素晴らしい監督です。
But he's a great director. How about an actor? Is he a good actor?
He's a terrible actor. He's really a bad actor. He's a really good director, but he's a really terrible actor. He really sticks out. He doesn't blend in. He said that himself. Pen-ek. When the first time he saw Last Life in the Universe, he said, Pen-ek, you made such a beautiful film. After I watched the film, I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit and have tea. And, the only bad thing in your film is me. So that was his comment. But it's not like he's trying to be modest or anything. He's really bad. It was the truth.
はい、とにかく強烈な存在。
Yeah, he's a very strong. He has a very strong character. Anyways, I think the time is coming up, so now we will shift to Q&A. But let me just add a comment.
ご一緒にやらせていただいているジャパンファンデーション。
Japan Foundation.
ですけど、 最初にお話の出た
It's
タ
about
イの
Japan
日本文
Foundation.
化センターっていうのは
So
ジャパンファンデーションさん
the Japan
のオフィスっていうか
Center in
図書館についてるオフィ
Thailand
ス
has
な
a
んですね。
library,
そう吉岡さんって方は実
and
際にいらっしゃ
Yoshioka-san
って
is a real person
今
that is there,
どこに
right,
いらっ
of
しゃる
Japan
んですか？
Foundation. Where is he
今
now?
ベトナムに
He's
い
in
らっしゃるそう
Vietnam.
です。
He's in Vietnam right now. Oh, so he's
今
a real
頃くしゃ
person.
みしてると思いますけれ
So
ども、
maybe,
はい、というこ
you
と
know,
で
he
ね、
might
な
know
んか
that
ちょ
we're
っと
talking about
スポンサー
him.
もやっていただいてる
And
He's very proud. He tells everyone that, oh, Pen-ek based that Asano's character on me. So he knows.
そうです、そうですか。はい。
Okay,
はい、
that's
と
a
いうのを
great
ちょっと付
story.
け加えて、
But yeah, I
それ
just
では
wanted to talk about that as well. Now, let's open it for questions. Anyone?